Flavio Olivieri and Matteo De Paolo, Gustav Wieniawski and Lenny Reid, Pedro Hilbrand and Romain Andriolo, row number 11. Row 12, Marc Kastelic and Lorenz Lecertua. Row 13, Arnaud Chabar and Rasmus Chimis. Then we have row 14, Jaime Santos Torillos and Auguste Terbo. Then Jokubas Bagdonavicius, Hugo Besson on row number 15. Row 16, Noah Milel and Nicolas Pertilati. Ella Stevens and Veilo Luque on row 17, and Albani Viva Alvarez on row 18. I wonder if she's with us, because after the incident previously, yes, I think she is. So that's good news indeed for the young CRG driver at the back end of the grid. Now, 12 laps to go through as this race opposes Group A and C. The Group A, these are the fastest drivers that we had in yesterday's qualifying. Nikola Tsolov was rather impressive. Oh, and some trouble, I'm afraid, from the 260 from Energy Corse. And this is Jacobus Bagdonavicius. So clear domination from Nikola Tsolov. That's never been so fast, never been so at ease in the classification ever since the Champions of the Future series started. Are we going to be good to go for racing? Yes, we are! And Tsolov has been stolen already the lead by one of the CRG drivers just behind. This is Gabriele Gomez going ahead of Tsolov into the first corner. That was a great start from Gabriele Gomez around the outside. He managed to keep Tsolov just behind. And Tsolov still in second. Further back, Valtanen as well as Rita Ursato. Everybody seems to be going, oh, and a couple of drivers going together in turn number 5. 3 drivers into the hairpin. A big incident over there and some sand. And there's 2 other drivers, actually. There's 5 in total, if I'm counting well, involved. The 237, we're missing Rafael Mondonese, Lenny Reid, as well as Rasmus Uchimis got involved in the tussle over there, as well as Veilo Luque and Albani Viva Alvarez. Quite unfortunate once again for the CRG driver who had an incident in his previous heat, and now Vivas Alvarez hopefully will be back on track, and I think this will be race over as the yellow flag is still being waved into the first sector outside of your picture. So quite a lot of events into this first lap, as Gabriele Gomez had the best start, leading Nikola Tsolov of 0.2 of a second. Then we have Rinta Rosato and Jo Valtanen going through. Valtanen for the third place, the 257. Jo Valtanen, that we've seen competing this year, both in the gearbox and the direct drive class, is competing this time and the next for Tony KART. A new challenge for him, and is determined to really make the best out of it. Jo Valtanen in third, Rinta Rosato in fourth, but about to drop another position because Martin Stenson is very close to him, and he's saying to Ivan Dominguez for the back with the DPK colors, let's wait a little bit to attack me. Let's try to climb. Let's work together. We might have the same pace, and we can actually make this work and function through the ranks. It's always easier to say that at the early stages of the race, but if actually the race doesn't go according to plan, then it would be time to go your own way. But at the moment, it seems to be going the way of Gabriele Gomez, your Brazilian driver from CRG. Certainly the sign of the time and the sign of a return for CRG colors that has been shining recently in gearbox classes as well at the conclusion of the European Championship at Adria. It was happening in August, as you might remember if you were with us. Yellow flag still being waved is happening in the first sector. This is actually where all the incident occurred. Yellow flag is still being waved just to warn the drivers to keep it steady and not to do anything stupid, because some of the chassis are still in the way. Let's focus back on the battle for the lead. Gabriele Gomez, certainly one of the biggest prospect in their drive class for the CRG Racing team. That's a nice story, of course, of the CRG Racing team, one of the most prestigious and biggest factories in the history of karting, that's coming back from a couple of seasons at the back end of the grid with results certainly not up to the expectations, but they've been investing a lot in new drivers, in new material, and the ambitions are clearly high to get back on top and to climb the titles, get back with collecting a lot of titles on the international level of karting. And Gabriele Gomez might be one of the best chances this weekend and the next, who knows, to go for the win. Now is keeping it steady, 0.3 of a second in front of Nikola Tsolov. The young Bulgarian in second, waiting for his time. Further back, we have Jo Valtanen on your picture, followed by Rinta Rosato, Martinez Tenzorn. And further back, the great battle as well. And a bit of a touch for Ivan Dominguez, who's being passed over there. This is 2:49. Ivan Dominguez in this great battle with Evan Gilter. Gilter that just went ahead. As you can see, these are the drivers in the 7 and 8. Gilter who just went ahead of Dominguez, who lost a position to Matheus Morgato in the meantime. So the door was too much open, and when a gap is open, you can make sure that your pursuer is going to go for it. And as a result, Ivan Dominguez is dropping to 9th position. On your screen, into turn number 5, Martinez Tenzorn, the young Norwegian driver, the former pole sitter in the FIA Karting Academy Trophy, if my memory serves well, driving for Leclerc by Lennox Racing, the 271, and keeping Rintaro Sato at bay for the moment, the young Japanese. And both actually have one goal in common, certainly, catch up Juho Valtanen, because the Tony Kart driver is 6 tenths ahead of Tenzorn. Lap number 5 out of 12. Still a lot of time, of course, in the hands of the drivers to make a difference in this race. And Nikola Tsolov might be thinking about that. He's coming close. He's coming very close, the Bulgarian driver in second. You can see that Gabriel Gomez is playing a little bit with his carburation, trying to increase his speed at the back end of the grid, at the back end of the start-finish straight, The straight just in front of us, actually, where the average top speed is around 115 km an hour, 120 km an hour sometimes with the toe of another driver. So quite an impressive top speed by those youngsters of the UK class. But in the meantime, the battle is on between Gabriel Gomez and Nikola Tsolov. Further back, 2.4 seconds behind is Juho Valtanen, who has nothing to do with the battle for the win. But now he has other business in mind, because as you can see, Martinez Tenzorn is coming back to him. We're going to get back to Valtanen Tenzorn, the battle for 3rd place, because with Rintaro Sato just in the mix, that could be very interesting in the coming seconds as we're getting past the halfway mark of this race. 2 tenths, that's what's splitting those two young drivers on your screen, Gomez and Tsolov. And for the back, the move is done. Martinez Tenzorn just get ahead of Juho Valtanen. Tenzorn is now 3rd, Valtanen is 4th. And watch out, because Rintaro Sato from Ricky Flynn might try to do the same, running himself into the turn number 5, the biggest hairpin of the track, the first one of 3 before coming down to the return straight. This is where actually you carry the momentum that you need to attack on the straight right now before the opposite hairpin. Can actually Rintaro Sato try to do the same, but Juho Valtanen is still very close to Martinez Tenzorn, who's resisting every bit he can. He could actually go the way of Joe Turney. Watch out for Joe Turney as well, 247 from Tony Kart just behind. He's keeping a close watch on Rintaro Sato, who's going to try to go against Juho Valtanen. And watch out for Turney. Yes, he finds the space and dives into it. Joe Turney takes the position, up a place in 5th. Rintaro Sato dropping a place in 6th. And Evan Gilter might actually be the next to give him a hard time. Gilter in 7, Matheus Morgato from Berlard in 8. Then we have in 9th place, this is currently Christian Bertucca in front of Evan Dominguez. Luigi Coluccio trying to close up to the top 10 in 11. And we have in 12th place Oscar Pedersen, Laurens Lecertois in 13. And this is great news. Laurens Lecertois is back in the race and back at full charge, as he's climbing the field. 11 places gained already for Laurens Lecertois, who had a big accident this morning, provoking the interruption with the red flag, but fortunately he was up on his feet. He was okay, and now he's back in the chassis, back in the wheel, and giving his rivals a hard time, making his way up to 13 after starting 24 on the grid. Watch out for the battle of the lead. We keep an eye on Gabriel Gomez and Nikola Tsolov. 2 tenths between those two into turn number 1. Climbing through the rings and to the corners of this first sector. It doesn't look like much from the outside perspective on live stream, but I can tell you that the climb and the elevation change is quite deep, to be honest. And certainly one of the most up and down circuits I've ever been to in the karting world. We got a bit of elevation changes here and there in some of the karting destinations we've been to, but as diverse and as high as this one, is not to be seen quite everywhere in the world. In the meantime, the gap is slightly decreasing between Gomez and Solov. Martinez stands on, the new man in third place in front of Joe Turney, Juho Valtanen. So Turney made his way past his teammate from Tony KART. He's playing for the championship, of course. Juho Valtanen is here, of course, to do his best, tackling his new challenge. Evan Gilter, in the meantime, as well, making his way through to 6 and to 5 now. Outside of your picture, but Evan Gilter just went ahead of Juho Valtanen for 5th place. Rintaro Sato still in 7. Getting close to Valtanen as well for 0.3 of a second. Then we have Morgato, Betuca, and Dominguez in 10th with Coluccio 11. And Laurent Lesertua, who keeps on climbing through the field in 12th place in front of Marcus Kayak. At the moment, and the retirement, I'm afraid, for Pedro Hilbrand. Another retirement for the Spaniard, who used to be world and European champion in both the gearbox and the Euro Drive class. Not the weekend so far of Pedro Hilbrand, who's had to retire, as well as Nico Kuman, Lenny Reed, Paolo Luque, and Viva Alvarez at the beginning of this race. Now, this qualifying heat is about to get concluded very, very soon, and there's not much time remaining. Nicolas Solov knows it. He can actually see the lap decreasing just on the start finish straight on the big panel above his head. And this is the penultimate lap. There's 3 kilometers to go, a bit more than that, 2 laps of 1.5. One of the longest tracks in this year's championship, the longest in the south of Spain. And you can see that Gabriel Gomez is going defensive on top of the circuit, going a bit wide, trying to lean on the curb and get a better momentum, carry the speed that he needs all the way down to the hairpin. Further back is Martin, who stands on, fastest in this race, the young Norwegian. But this will be, unfortunately, for nothing, as he will stay in 3rd place. Still a good way to win the race, of course, but he's going to have to make the way 3rd in front of Jordan Gilter, and watch out for this battle between those two. I think that Nicolas Solov really wants this victory. He knows that right now he can secure what could be pole position for the pre-final tomorrow. At the moment, he's still in the lead. Camara is coming close, because he's no longer leading this race, Nicolas Solov. If he wins, that would be another strong sign sent to the opposition that this weekend could well be mine. DPK Racing has been practicing a lot on this track. They know it, of course, for the national Spanish championship that they do here. But experience is quite lacking for most of the drivers and the teams here for the first time competing in Campillos. But that's where actually Nicolas Solov and DPK could find the difference, could build the advantage. But for that, in the final lap, he needs to secure the result. 2nd will not be the end of the world, but the win will be the strongest of demonstration. But with a couple of meters left between those two, I don't think that Solov will have the space and the speed to go for the impossible. So he's going to stay behind, even though it's going to be a very tight arrival. And this is victory on the edge for Gabriel Gomez. The 2nd victory this weekend is coming on equal terms to Nicolas Solov. That's 2-2 for Solov and Gomez. But unfortunately for Gabriel Gomez, due to his retirement, is nowhere to be seen within the top 8 of the classification. But still 2 wins for the CRG racing driver. And a 3rd win missed for Nicolas Solov, but by less than 0.2 of a second. So that was a very, very good effort from those two, finishing 1.8 seconds in front of Martin Stenzon. Jortani is 4. Evan Gilter finishing in 5th in front of Juho Valtanen, Rintaro Sato, Matheus Morgato, Christian Bertuca, Evan Dominguez running up the top 10. Outside of it, Luigi Coluccio in 11, Romain Andriolo is 12 in front of Laurens Lesertua. Noah Milel again recovering as much as he can in this field, 18 places gain. I think that at the end, the 2021 KZ World Champion will, at least if he doesn't get the result that he wants, he might actually get the award for the best overtaker at the end of the day. Something that Formula One has just decided to include this season, a trophy for the best overtaker. But let's see in the end what happens for Noah Milel. Oscar Pedersen follows in 15 in front of Marcus Kayak, August Terbo, Marc Kastelic, Nicolas Pirtilati, Daniel Nogales Lopez is P20 in front of Matteo De Parlo, Arthur Chabnar, Jaime Sanstorillos, Gustav Iniewski, Flavio Olivieri, Alan Stevens, Hugo Besson, Jokubas Bagnodavicius, Rasmus Jutimis, and Rafael Mondonese. Among the drivers who had to retire, Pedro Hilbrand, Nico Kuman, Lenny Reed, Jere Valaluque, and Albani Vivas Alvarez. As the final classification of this race appears on your screen. Now, the A against the C is done. We're going to have the Group B against the D. And this will be, ladies and gentlemen, already the last qualifying heat of the senior class, the OK class, this Saturday. So this will be decisive. At the moment, Nikola Tsolov is leading with 2 points, and 2 points as well in front of Rafael Camara.